Have you ever replayed a moment in your mind over and over again, almost as if you could rewrite it by sheer thought alone? A conversation you wish had gone differently, a decision you regret, a chance you let slip. It lingers like a ghost, haunting your quiet moments. You know the past is gone, yet somehow it feels alive inside you, shaping your mood, stealing your peace, whispering, "What if?" and "if only." Why is it so hard to let go? Why do our mistakes hold more weight than our victories? And why does regret feel like a chain we cannot escape, no matter how much time has passed? Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher who once lived as a slave before becoming a teacher of freedom, would say that regret is nothing more than bondage to what no longer exists. It is the mind enslaving itself to shadows. And if we are willing, we can be free. Think about it for a moment. The past is untouchable. No matter how much you dwell on it, it remains beyond your grasp. The words you spoke cannot be unsaid. The opportunities missed cannot be relived. The people gone cannot be summoned back. Regret convinces us that we are somehow still in the arena of that old battle, still fighting to change what has already been written in the stone of time. But Epictetus reminds us of a powerful truth: we suffer not from the events themselves, but from the judgments we attach to them. Regret is not in the event. It is in our insistence on reliving it. We are, in effect, punishing ourselves for crimes already judged by life itself. He often told his students, "Some things are up to us and some are not." This was the foundation of Stoic teaching, and the past. The past belongs firmly in the category of not up to us. To dwell on it is to misplace our energy, like pouring water into a jar that has no bottom. We can spend years doing it, but we will never fill it. And yet many of us live this way, haunted, heavy, unable to forgive ourselves. We mistake this self-punishment for responsibility. We think, if I regret strongly enough, maybe I'm redeeming myself. But Epictetus would say, no. Responsibility is in the present, in what you choose to do with the lesson. Regret is nothing but slavery to what no longer exists. Consider a man who lost years of his life in addiction, or a woman who turned down the love of her life out of fear. They live in today, but their minds are anchored in yesterday. They cannot enjoy the sunlight of the present, because they are chained to the shadows of their own memory. They are alive, yet not living. This is the tragedy of regret. It keeps us in the grave of what cannot be undone. Epictetus would look at such people and ask, "Why are you trying to fight a battle that has already ended?" The past is not a living enemy. It is a phantom. And to fight a phantom is to waste your strength on nothing. But here lies the beauty of his teaching. If regret is bondage to what no longer exists, then freedom lies in recognizing its non-existence. The chains we feel are illusions we choose to carry. Epictetus himself knew this well. Born into slavery, beaten, insulted, denied freedom, he could have lived in endless regret over what was stolen from him. But he refused. He said, "You may fetter my leg, but my will not even Zeus himself can overpower." His life was proof that the mind can be free, even when the body is not. And if he could release regret over years of suffering and injustice, what excuse do we have for holding on to the mistakes of our own past? There is also a paradox here. Regret feels heavy, but it is strangely comforting to the mind. To replay the past is easier than to face the present. It gives us a sense of control, as though by obsessing we are somehow repairing. But this is false control. The past is untouchable. We do not control it. The more we grip it, the more it slips through our fingers. The true courage is not in clinging, but in letting go. Epictetus would say, "Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather wish that what happens happen the way it happens, then you will be happy." In other words, reality does not need your regret. It needs your acceptance. Let me ask you, how many moments of today have you lost by reliving yesterday? How many smiles, conversations, Or opportunities for peace have been stolen because your mind was not here, but stuck back there. The cost of regret is not just pain. It is life itself. The past already took its share. Regret allows it to take even more. Epictetus would urge us to stop letting the dead rob the living. But what does it look like, practically, to see regret as bondage to what no longer exists? It means pausing when the old memory arises and asking, is this within my power? Can I change it now? If the answer is no, then your work is to let it dissolve like smoke. You do not fight it. You do not wrestle with it. You simply recognize it for what it is, a ghost. And when you see a ghost, you don't try to kill it. You walk past it, knowing it has no substance. Of course, this is easier said than done. Our minds cling tightly to regret. But even here, Epictetus gives us a way. He would say, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When regret appears, your reaction can either chain you or free you. If you indulge it, you are the prisoner. If you watch it, acknowledge it, and release it, you are the master. The memory remains, but the chain is broken. So perhaps the question is not whether you regret, but whether you are willing to remain in bondage to it. Every time regret whispers, you have a choice to bind yourself again or to walk free. The past does not ask you to return. It does not even exist anymore. The only one keeping it alive is you, and the only one who can lay it to rest is also you. When we finally admit that regret is bondage to what no longer exists, the natural next question appears: if the past cannot be touched, if regret is wasted energy, then where should we place our focus? Epictetus answered this question with radical simplicity: focus only on what is within your power. This was not just advice, it was the backbone of Stoic philosophy. The world, he argued, is divided into two realms, the things we control and the things we do not. And wisdom begins with knowing the difference. Think about your own life for a moment. How much of your mental energy is spent worrying about things you cannot control? The weather tomorrow, what others think of you, the mistakes already made, the outcome of events you cannot influence. Each of these lies outside your sphere of power, yet they drain your mind like open leaks in a vessel. Epictetus compared it to a traveler carrying unnecessary baggage. The more you cling to what is not yours to control, the slower and more painful your journey becomes. What, then, belongs to us? Only our choices, our judgments, our actions in the present moment. Not the past, not the future, not other people's opinions. Only this: how we respond right now. Epictetus put it plainly: some things are up to us, and some are not. The things up to us, our desires, our aversions, our decisions, our effort, these are our domain, our responsibility, and our freedom. Everything else is beyond our grasp, and to reach for it is to invite frustration and despair. Consider this image: a sailor cannot control the wind or the waves. He cannot command the storm to calm or the sea to be still. But he can control his sails, his rudder, his choices in the moment. That is his domain. A wise sailor does not curse the storm or demand the sea to obey. He adjusts his sails, he guides his ship, he focuses on what is his to manage. This is exactly how Epictetus taught us to live. Life's storms will always come, regrets will always whisper, but your sails, your choices, remain within your hands. Yet notice how easily we violate this principle. Someone insults us, and we spend days replaying their words, trying to rewrite their opinion in our minds. Someone leaves us, and we waste years wishing they had stayed. An opportunity slips away, and we sit paralyzed in longing for its return. All of these are beyond our control. We do not own them. We never did. And yet, we give them our peace. Epictetus would ask us, why give away what is yours? Your mind, your calm, your freedom, for what is not yours. He often reminded his students of this sharp distinction. Imagine two circles. The inner circle is what you can control. The outer circle is what you cannot. Peace lies in living within the inner circle. Regret lives in the outer circle. because it is always about what you cannot change, the past. But when you narrow your focus back to the inner circle, you discover freedom. You realize that you can choose to release, to forgive, to reframe. You cannot change what happened, but you can change what it means to you now. That power is always yours. Think of it this way: regret tries to trick you into fighting a battle in the wrong arena. It whispers, "If only you had done this differently, if only you had chosen that instead." It drags you out of the inner circle into the outer one, where you have no weapons, no control, no chance of victory. And there, in that place of powerlessness, you suffer. But when you bring yourself back to what is yours to control, you find the battle is not with the past at all, but with your present interpretation. And that, Epictetus reminds us, is always winnable. There is also a hidden strength in this teaching. By focusing only on what is within your power, you reclaim your dignity. No longer are you tossed around by the winds of fortune or chained by the failures of yesterday. You stand firm, saying, "This I cannot change, but this, my response, I can." It is a posture of freedom, one that no insult, no loss, no mistake can take away. Remember, Epictetus himself lived this truth. As a slave, beaten and humiliated, he could have drowned in regret or rage over what was done to him. But he refused to waste energy on what was outside his control. Instead, he cultivated his mind, his choices, his discipline. And in doing so, he became freer than his masters. Now let's bring this closer to our own lives today. Perhaps you regret the career you didn't pursue, the relationship you lost, the words you cannot unsay. Ask yourself, is this within my power now? Can I step back into that exact past moment and alter it? The honest answer is no. But can you act now, with the lessons learned, to live more fully, to speak with more courage, to choose with more clarity? The answer is yes, and that yes belongs to you. This is where regret is transformed, not in rewriting the past, but in reclaiming the present. Epictetus would tell you, stop wasting your strength on the impossible. The past will not bend to your will. The only thing that can bend is your will itself, here and now. Focus it, discipline it, place it where it matters. You cannot control what others say about you, but you can control whether their words define you. You cannot control whether time returns what it has taken, but you can control whether you waste more time mourning or begin using the time you have left. You cannot control the world, but you can control yourself. And in that self-mastery lies freedom from regret. This is not a call to indifference, but to wisdom. Stoicism does not ask you to feel nothing but to feel rightly. Regret will arise, it is human. But when it does, the Stoic practice is to test it. Is this within my power? If not, let it go. If yes, act on it. All else is wasted energy. So, when regret grips you with its cold hands, remember Epictetus' division of control. Imagine drawing two lines in your mind, one for what you can change, one for what you cannot. Place the regret where it belongs. If it lies in the realm of the unchangeable, release it like a stone you no longer wish to carry. And turn your gaze, your energy, your life, to what is yours, the present moment, the choices at hand, the freedom that has always been waiting for you. Have you ever wondered why your mind insists on dragging you back to the very moments you'd rather forget? It plays the mistakes like a movie reel on repeat. The argument you regret, the chance you missed, the wrong choice you made. You don't want to watch it, yet your mind presses play again and again. It feels like a prison you can't escape, as if your past has the keys to your freedom. But Epictetus would tell you this: the past does not hold the key, you do. The truth is that memories themselves are not chains. What chains you is the meaning you attach to them. You look at a mistake and decide it defines you. You look at a failure and decide it is who you are. You turn one painful memory into a lifelong sentence. And yet, here was a man born into slavery, beaten and humiliated, who somehow found the strength to rise as one of the wisest teachers in history. Epictetus would ask us, "If my chains could not enslave my mind, why do you allow your memories to enslave yours?" Painful memories are not meant to be prisons. They are meant to be teachers. Think about what pain does in the body. You touch a flame, it burns. The pain teaches you don't touch it again. You don't curse yourself for years because of one moment near the fire. You learn and you move forward. Regret is the same. It is not punishment from the universe. It is not life sentencing you. It is feedback, information, a signal that whispers. Here was a choice misaligned with your values. Here was a moment you weren't fully present. Here was a time you forgot who you could be. But here's the problem. Most people refuse to treat regret as a teacher. Instead, they clutch it like a punishment, a reminder to whip themselves with. They replay the memory not to learn, but to suffer. They convince themselves that carrying guilt makes them more responsible, more moral, more worthy. But guilt without growth is useless. It is like clutching a burning coal long after the fire has gone out. The fire is over, but you are still choosing to burn. Epictetus would call this irrational. To him, the only rational response to regret is simple: take the lesson, and then move forward. Anything else is wasted suffering. Because here is the truth, every painful memory gives you two possible paths. On one path, you cling to it, replay it, and let it define who you are. On the other, you face it, ask what it's trying to teach you, and then you live differently because of it. The first path makes you a prisoner of your past. The second path makes you wiser, stronger, freer. Imagine two people making the same mistake. One says, "This ruined me. I will never forgive myself." The other says, "This showed me where I must grow. I will live differently from now on." Which one do you think Epictetus would admire? The Stoic does not see himself as a victim of memory. He sees himself as a student of it. Every scar becomes a teacher. Every regret becomes a lesson. And once the lesson is learned, the door to the prison is already open. So I ask you, what regret are you holding on to? What painful memory keeps replaying in your mind? And if you were brave enough to treat it not as punishment, but as feedback, what lesson would it offer you? Once you take that lesson, the chains fall away. The scar does not vanish, but it no longer binds you. It becomes part of your strength, part of your wisdom, and when that happens, the past loses its power. You walk forward, no longer a prisoner, but a student who has been set free. We often hear people say, "I can forgive others, but I can't forgive myself." And at first it sounds noble, almost like a sign of deep responsibility, but in truth, it is often a mask for self-destruction. The refusal to forgive yourself is not strength. It is another form of attachment to regret. Epictetus would have called it irrational. To him, forgiveness is not an act of emotion, but an act of reason. Think about it this way. When someone else makes a mistake, you may be willing to give them another chance. You might say, "Yes, you failed, but you are not only your failure. You can still grow." Why then, when it comes to yourself, do you decide you are unworthy of the same mercy? Why do you believe you are the only human not allowed to learn and change? If you believe others can grow, logic demands that you believe the same for yourself. To deny it is to live in contradiction, and contradiction was something the Stoics could never accept. Forgiving yourself is not about erasing the past. It is about aligning with reason. Reason says the past is unchangeable. Reason says a mistake is not a permanent identity, but a single moment. Reason says growth is possible if you choose it. When you refuse self-forgiveness, you are not being tough, you are being unreasonable, like a judge who insists on punishing a man forever, even after he has already served his sentence. Epictetus would remind us that the only control you truly have is over the present. Your choices right now, in this very moment. To keep reliving your mistakes is to waste that control. You are giving the dead past power over the living present. Forgiveness is the act of cutting that cord. It does not mean pretending nothing happened. It means saying, yes, I failed. Yes, I fell short. But I am still capable of choosing differently now. Imagine a soldier returning from war, haunted by decisions he made in the chaos of battle. He cannot change what happened. He cannot go back. But he has two paths: one, to rot in endless guilt until he is destroyed by it, or two, to honor the lessons, to live with more clarity, and to serve with the wisdom born of pain. Which path serves life? Which path serves reason? The Stoic would say only the second. This is why Epictetus would argue that forgiving yourself is not weakness. Weakness is clinging to regret because it feels safer than moving forward. Weakness is hiding behind guilt because growth requires courage. Forgiveness, on the other hand, is strength because it demands that you stop running from your own humanity. It demands that you look your past in the eye and say, "You will not rule me anymore." So ask yourself, what have you not forgiven yourself for? What memory, what choice, what mistake still holds you in chains? And if you truly see it through the lens of reason, not emotion, can you accept that the only thing left to do is learn and move forward? That is self-forgiveness, not denial, not escape, but the clarity to say, I cannot change what I did yesterday, but I can change what I do today. A forgiveness is not letting yourself off the hook. It is putting yourself back on the right path. It is not weakness. It is the courage to begin again. And for Epictetus, that is the most reasonable act of all. One of the hardest truths to accept is that the past will never change. We replay it, we bargain with it, we imagine alternate versions where things went differently, but no amount of wishing bends time. The Stoics were blunt about this. What has already happened belongs to fate. It has left your hands. It is no longer yours to control. The more you fight it, the more you suffer, because you are wrestling with a ghost. Epictetus would remind us that there are only two realms: what is in your control and what is not. The past, by definition, is not. It has already slipped into the realm of fate. But the present, this moment, this breath, this choice, this is yours. And yet how many people waste the only part of life they own by obsessing over the part they never can? They trade the living for the dead. Think of a man standing at a riverbank. He sees a leaf float by, carried downstream. He leaps into the water, chasing it, clawing at the current, trying desperately to pull back what has already gone. Meanwhile, hundreds of fresh leaves pass before him, untouched, unseen, wasted. That is what it looks like when we live inside the past. We drown ourselves trying to grab what has already been carried away, while the present slips silently by. The Stoics teach us to shift our gaze. Instead of staring endlessly at the river behind us, we must turn to what is here now. You cannot change the words you spoke yesterday, but you can change the words you speak today. You cannot undo the mistake you made last year, but you can act with more wisdom this year. You cannot rewrite the fate of the past, but you can shape the direction of the present, and shaping the present, little by little, is how the future is written. But here is the danger. Many people secretly cling to the past because it excuses them from acting now. As long as you say, I am ruined by what happened, you don't have to take responsibility for what you're doing today. Regret becomes a shield against accountability. Epictetus would not let you hide there. He would look you in the eye and say, you are not bound by fate today. You are bound by your choices. So, what are you choosing? To stare at a closed door, or to open the one in front of you? To keep arguing with a version of yourself that no longer exists, or to step into the self you could become right now? The past belongs to fate, but the present belongs to you. And every time you waste the present, you give away the only freedom you ever had. The man who accepts this truth finds peace. He does not erase the past. He honors it, he learns from it, but he does not live there. His energy is here, in this moment, in the only realm where change is possible. And by devoting himself fully to the present, he discovers something astonishing. The past loses its power. It becomes not a weight dragging him down, but a foundation on which he stands taller. So I leave you with a question Epictetus might have asked. If fate owns yesterday and tomorrow is uncertain, what will you do with the piece of time that is undeniably yours? This moment, right now. Because the past has already gone. The future may never come. All that remains is today, waiting for you to live it. So what do we do with regret? Do we let it keep us chained to yesterday? Or do we finally use it as the teacher it was always meant to be? Epictetus shows us that regret does not have to be a prison. Painful memories can become lessons. Forgiveness can become freedom. And the present moment, the only piece of time we ever truly own, can become the ground on which we rise again. You cannot rewrite the past. You cannot go back and undo what was done. But you can rewrite the meaning you give it. You can look at every scar, every failure, every missed chance, and say, this shaped me, but it does not define me. I carry the lesson, not the chains. That is the power of choice. That is the power of reason. That is the power of living as a Stoic. So the next time regret whispers to you, don't run from it, and don't bow to it. Listen, ask what it is trying to teach you. Then carry that lesson into this moment, because this moment is yours. Epictetus would remind you that freedom does not come from erasing the past. It comes from living fully in the present. And when you do that, you are no longer haunted by what was. You are guided by what can be. The past belongs to fate, the present belongs to you. And your choice, right now, will decide whether regret remains a prison or becomes your greatest teacher